days back in high school where you've got the pretty chicks, the hot chicks, falling in love with bad boys.
Bad boys, yeah. Remember that my first stable relationship with the father of my kids.
Yeah.
Remember?
Uh-huh.
Likinza la 325 IS. Woo! That guy drove me crazy. Yeah. Back in the days, like he fathered, three of my children, my twin girls and Junior. So there's, to be honest, remember I posted Moma Tsatsing, there's a lot of Dr. Nandiphas in the country. On social media, woo, doctor, and it's the same. Libo me. Wa tseba go ngwana wa rape, wa tseba go ngwana o bolaya batho, wa tseba ngwana o tshwara poo, but you still child the money e atlang ka yona ko ntlong. Ha rapeile basadi, you still protect that. So how different is it from what Dr. Nandipha did? I mean, it's the same thing. Happy birthday, dear Tom. Happy birthday. We hope.
Welcome to the Free Ride Podcast. Thank you very much to all of you who keep liking, sharing, and interacting with me on the Free Ride Podcast. Today, I've got a special guest, an amazing, multi-talented female, a woman, a mother, a lady that I know that has been doing amazing work. She's a producer on TV, a producer on radio. She's a TV presenter. She's a radio presenter. She's a multi-talented lady. She's a manager, station manager called 1912 Online Radio. And she is just so multi-talented. So today, I'm here to talk to her about a story that just broke the internet for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And of course, it's about our very own South African Bonnie and Clyde story, if you know that story. And of course, Kibuaka, Dr. Nandipha, as well as Thabo Bester. And of course, I wanted to talk to her because I wanted to make sure, first, these people are arrested, and secondly, that they are brought into the country. So if you have seen in the news today, those two were brought into South Africa. Balendileko, Lanseria Airport this morning, and of course they were rushed by Inyala and Dr. Nandipha. So you know the story. But now I wanted to speak to Queen and just hear her views about this woman who fell in love with a bad boy, and this bad boy who has just been wowing South Africa. He's been doing. Thabo Bester is a magician. He's a charmer. He's a multi-talented man who was able to do unthinkable things. So, of course, a very educated woman like Dr. Nandipha fell in love with this guy. He's a bad boy. And I wanted to get to hear from Queen like, why di cherry bo OC but ba lengore ba smarty ba nganywa di bad boys. So anyway, Queen, welcome to the Free Ride podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm doing amazing. I mean, we just shot an episode. I was looking forward to that episode for weeks.
Yeah.
And finally reshooting it this morning. And yeah, I'm amazed. Give like a coffee. So my spirits are here.
Yeah. Congratulations on your new show.
Thank you.
Just quickly tell people what your show is and where people can follow it and watch it.
So my show is a special show because what I'll say to especially your viewers, it's very important for one to believe in themselves. So the show, it created on the spot.
Yeah.
So I came more Randbeck. We are at the studios, go Randbeck, for an audition for a show that elor neba casta for yon. Ka senda my clips and then bang pizza for casting. And then boom, the channel owner says to me, wow, like it's like I'm blown away.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not going to give you the job. Yeah, host the show in
That you were auditioning for.
Yeah, that I was auditioning for.
Yeah.
But we can create a show. And I'm like, oh, okay. What show? You're an activist. You've been an activist. I saw your profile. Your profile, it's like this big.
Yeah.
So we are creating a show for you. Let's talk about it in a few days or a week and then see to it we'll get a show out of it. So we created a show. It's mainly about what I deal with here and there. I'm an activist. I mean, I've been an activist for the last 12 years or so. So the show, it's mainly about social ills around communities, what we go through on a daily basis, and sort of an awareness to make lives of, I'll say, Black people, because in townships and in rural areas, most of the time, so it's to better the lives of Black people, especially single mothers. I'm more passionate about that. So I'm looking forward to launching my show on the 5th of May.
Yay! Thanks for having me as a guest. You wanted to talk to me about parenting.
Yeah.
So thanks for that conversation. But I just want to touch on this, that you're an activist.
Yes.
I mean, that's how I met you.
Yes, and I got a radio job because of my activism.
Yeah.
So I got a job because of my activism on radio. And then years later, 2018, I got a job on radio. Yeah. Months later, became the station manager when Sipo was the CEO. Yeah. So I was dealing directly with the CEO. Laban? And then years later, from 2018, got a job as a TV presenter, the newest channel that's going to dominate the platforms of South Africa. Maybe it's a Dream Stream.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you.
The reason why I wanted to chat to you today, it's about, often, I mean, we used to see this back in high school where you've got the pretty chicks, the hot chicks, falling in love with bad boys.
Bad boys, yeah. Remember that my first stable relationship with the father of my kids.
Yeah.
Remember?
Uh-huh.
Likinza la 325 IS. Woo! That guy drove me crazy. Yeah. Back in the days, like he fathered, I mean, 3 of my children, my twin girls and Junior. So there's, to be honest, remember I posted Moma Tatsing, there's a lot of Dr. Nandiphas in the country. On social media, woo, doctor, and from time to time, banna lies. To be honest, not only the tsotsi, but there's other guys. Women, pretty women, beautiful women, ba dula mo di relationshiping and do dilo tse tshosang for banna ba bona. Be it kiskebengu, be it, but when women fall in love, especially how rata muthu, you do anything. For Mutu. I mean, there's a story that once broke also way too. It's just that Bao are city celebrities, but a guy o ileng ro labola motho and the msadi wa gagwe a mo thusa go mo kenya mo gare pick it up ba mo dontsha ba mo latlhela ko skangeng. I mean, they both got arrested. There's you remember that teenage love affair where there was a boy that fell in love with this. Apparently, the boy was in grade 11, if not mistaken. Bali ngwana le grade 10. The baby mama was in grade 10. It was a trending story back in the days. I think not 2 years ago.
Okay.
The grade 11 abali ngwana le the grade 10, and then the grade 11 cheated with another grade 11, same school, and then they killed the baby mama, and then balomu latlhela ko tlhageng, yeah, ko skangeng, and then they burnt the body. I mean, it was a trending story of teenagers. You remember that story? So it's more of Nandipha and Besta. It's just that it's different stories, but it's the same thing, whereby you do anything for mutu o ileng gore wa morata. So
is it love really, or is it? Because I mean. And I'm asking this because I know gona le ditsotsi makentsa a leng gore a ya go dingakeng a ilo thwa wala ba thwase but ba ilo bofa.
I mean,
ba ilo bofa, so that they get away with their crime for so long.
Yeah.
So is it possible gore
yeah. The thing is, with me, I know gore baby daddy waka I don't know, man. There was this thing kayena. As much as he was so abusive, the bad boy vibe, and every guy would wish to be with me, right? And then, babang, especially with my history, rape and stuff, the bad boy part was he protected me from a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like nobody he protected. Nobody would touch me because they knew Ricky media mang. Yeah. So with I felt safe starting with him, but I was scared of him at the same time. So chances are, sometimes I'll jolly a bad boy. You end up being scared because this person is capable of what.
Yeah.
But at the same time, over confused, this person. So there's a lot of women that can do anything for bana babona. I mean, there's women by dingakeng go tshela diphirifiri for bana babona gore ba ba rate. I mean, it's the same ya gore le bomme wa tseba go ngwana wa rape, wa tseba go ngwana o bolaya batho, wa tseba ngwana o tshwara poo, but you still child the money e atlang ka yona ko ntlong. Ha rapeile basadi, you still protect that. So how different is it from what Dr. Nandipha did? I mean, it's the same thing. So I mean, you go to Sun City ka weekend, you find bon khunu ba tshwere dilo, ba tshwaretse bana ba bona ba entse di serious crimes.
True.
And kuri fela Nandipha o tshabile le ena go a claimiwa ditopo, like le bo mme ba yetsa the mothers to a lot of botsotsi. So I think
ba pata bana ba bone,
ba pata ba kenya tlasa dimpete, ba bua maka. You find mshimane a rape basadi a bele bana le bo mang ba bribe the victims. Like, we have so many women that are doing dilo tse di tshosang for batho ba tshwanang le bo Thabo Besta. So judging Dr. Nam, I saw a lot of women, he's lima sharp. To be honest, when I saw the story se breaka mo ditabeng ne, I was like, yo, lo muhle ubengeno yini, like awi bona bon.
Yeah.
But then I sat down and analyzed. And I was like, but we were in the same position as her, loving my botsotsi and seeing this guy, is my knight in shining armor. Ooh, this guy is my everything, right? And you do anything for mutom ratang. So, and then I started analyzing some of the GPV cases. You find him, shimane ashape ngwanyana, amushape. And then, hafeta, me atweka montlung, yazi mtanam. To be honest, ungambo peace, yazi ajotse the girlfriend or the wife. So, hari boeng niti nje, people do dilo to protect batho ba tshwanang le bo Thabo Bester. It's just that ya Nandipha e tswile mo ditabeng. I mean, ba bang bana lo bolaya batho. O thole moshimana bolaye ngwanyana. The mother knew a le teng ka mo ntlong, and then a mo thuso cover up, and then the guy by the time a tshwarwa a protect me wa hae or a mama manga boshwa. Remember that guy ola chopper the wako protea ola chopper that girlfriend ya hae. Yeah, remember gore ke di cousin these people. The family knew. O ka sempotse gore ne ba sa tsebe gore di cousin di a robalana, right? And then ha sa mo bula e ba mohlolo, and there were rumors around monies. Shiman owner, there were monies that netlamele mongwanyana o a di thole, like family ne tseba, like people ba khavelana. So taba Dr. Nandipha, yeah, ebile unfortunately re bile shocked kaofela, but at the end of the day I see an ali one, but ba di etsa dilo tse on a daily basis. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, man, I want us to take a quick break to check out, firstly, there's a video that I want to show you. It's basically who Dr. Nandipha is. And the second one is that, in fact, what's intriguing about it is that she actually was a celebrity doctor.
Oh,
like
my sister told me about her. How's it Dr. Nandipha? I'm like, haki mutsebi. I think ke leka mo misunderstand mo hong. Actually, I think I thought ke doctor wa matlo. And then she's like, no, skin doctor, but something like that. But my sister Namputare, yo, that girl, hot, fit. I'm like, yo, if you feel mo kucho wa mutseba. I didn't know anything. Naki tomilo ho mutseba ka tsona di lutse tsa bo Thabo Bester.
All right, so I want us to take a quick break, and I want us to check out the video. It's who Nandipha is, and of course, also there's an interview she did. The podcast and chill team. It was sometime last year, Cabo November. And this was after getting those bodies, taking the body to the prison, breaking this guy. Kore, I'm just thinking of Sibiti Samusadio. But I want us to talk about it. Let's take a quick break. Let's do that.
Perfect.
I always knew I wanted to be a doctor from the age of 6 years. I remember when my dad asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a doctor. And he said, okay, that's fine. I think since you know what you want to do, you need to work towards it. So he explained to me how demanding the job of a doctor is. And then that meant that I prepare myself to go into medical school. So I think I spent almost my whole childhood preparing to go to medical school. And I think even in high school, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I aligned myself. I made sure that I did everything that was required of me to become a doctor. And when I was in varsity, later on, I realized, I want to be a doctor, but in which speciality? What do I actually want to do? And considering my personality and the person that I am and what I wanted to get into, I found my place and my home in aesthetics. And that's how I got into it.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you think anyone influenced you into doing that? Were you inspired by someone or?
I didn't see anyone that was doing aesthetics that I thought, okay, definitely. But I was introduced to it by my husband. He did say, there is something that I see you doing in the medical field. And I said to him, okay, I'm interested to know more. So he sent me an email about the industry, because purely in medical school, we're not exposed to aesthetics, And the only part of aesthetics that we're exposed to is dermatology and plastics, which is also a completely different, departments in the medical field. So when I understood that, then I knew what it was and how I needed to work to get myself into the field.
So for those,
I am Dr. Nandipha Magudibana. I was born in a small village called Epizana in the Eastern Cape, and I was raised in Port Edward, which is like a small town closer to Epizana. So since primary school, high school, in high school, I started working at a pharmacy, Bendina, 16 years old. And at that time, I was preparing because I wanted to be exposed to drugs, like the medications and everything because I knew.
Oh, Tana Matra. Hey, like, hey. She already been exposed to drugs at 16. Hey, Dr. Friend.
The medication. So I started there. So that's what I did and what I'm doing currently. And then I opened a property and investment company, which is something that I'm currently and I'm very passionate about, that I'm currently running. So I'm currently running 2 companies at the same time.
So Queen, what's interesting, and I was saying before we took a break, is that she went on to do more interviews on the podcast and chill. Ante Anale on a run, le Thabo Besta, and this was when Thabo Besta had run out or Aslazita from Go prison, and I'm just thinking of how she still wanted to remain in the limelight, knowing very well that she's harboring OTA. Like, what kind of mindset must you have gore ube involved in the killing of somebody, stopo se skene ko tronkong, has fetso fihla ko tronkong, the man must escape, then when you continue with life as if everything was normal?
The thing is, obviously, if nato jampisa hore there's something wrong, if nato quita this, I quitted that, I tlogele this, I tlogele that. I mean, obviously, everybody was going to ask, obviously. And remember, kana Thabo Besta, it was because of that Woolies shopping thing, right?
Yes.
So, if Nebasa go Woolies, Thabo Besta today.
Apparently, there was also a guy. In fact, I saw this on the podcast and chill. Some guy got a hold of them. He had been tweeting about it since June last year. Thabo Besta has escaped. But because he's in prison, nobody was taking it seriously.
Right.
Until the Woolies thing came out, that picture go Uluetse. And then from there, so the guys phoned the guy on Aliko Tronko. They didn't even know the guy is still in prison. Or no, I've been actually raising the alarm bells about this guy having escaped. Nobody's been taking me seriously. And now all of a sudden, everybody's talking about this whole thing. So it's just crazy how this whole thing just, like how it happened.
Yeah, and the security. I mean, I've been to Sun City prison. I remember Hanerele ko Sun City to do the visit. O sechiwa mo, o kena mo, o sechiwa mo ene koloi dipakiwa kwa. And ke ipotsa gore ena ha kena like ke koloi efeng e khutsule, like ke ipotsa gore, remember that how we check the way by planning ka teng or the way by yentseng, it was well planned. People were involved, like from the prison warders, and there was monies involved. So KCA somehow our prison officials like by making sure this guy is out of jail. Number one, I remember when I was watching the stories around the prisoners, how banally the cell phone, how like the loading at total different request muta prison. There's a lot of women that would say ba mitile batho ba bona ko tronkong jwang o tlhakane jwang le motho ko tronkong le bua jwang ka di letter and then o tsibile jwang ka wena. So obviously the prisoners na the phone, like dilo tse di ngata nje ko di tronkong, there's a lot of corruption there. So I saw another story mo bareng Thabo Besta na le ko laptop nya hae, he was busy on the laptop, and you wonder a whole criminal e tshwaretseng bo di murder bo di rape what's anka laptop ko tronkong.
Yeah. And what's interesting is and I think I want to show you guys this video next. Firstly, his escape, which was covered by one of the international media, breaking down how the escape must have happened. And also, another interesting video is when he was actually in prison But I hosted an event ko Santeni. Celebrities were there and everybody was singing and clapping for him and they were wishing him a happy birthday. And all these celebs who were like closely coming close to Dr. Nandipha, like Ridi Direko was one of them. The lady from Kotsotsi, remember her? Teripeto. In fact, there's a picture I saw, Le Teripeto, Le Dr. Nandipha, badutsi ko tafoleng kaofela beba, and they captioned it Tsotsis. So I want you guys to check it out, and when we come back, I'll continue with Queen on this one.
In the early hours of May 3rd, 2022, prison officials at the Mangong prison in South Africa were notified of a suspicious fire which broke out in cell 35. This was a solitary cell meant for extreme cases only, and was often left unoccupied due to the odd positioning of the cell, which was basically hidden from view due to a blind spot in the CCTV network. On this day, however, as fate would have it, the cell was occupied by a notorious prisoner, Thabo Bester, who was more commonly known as the Facebook rapist. He was serving a life sentence for a string of heinous crimes, including murder, rape, and armed robbery. When prison officials eventually reacted to the fire that broke out, they recovered the remains of an unknown person believed to be Bester. He was laying under the mattress of his bed, and he was burnt beyond recognition. His death was originally ruled a suicide, and to be honest, many people rejoiced because they believed that justice had finally been served, as Bester wouldn't be able to hurt another person again. The supposed end of Thabo Bester's reign of terror brought a fleeting sense of peace to those who'd been affected by his actions. However, just 10 months later, a user on social media uncovered something so shocking and disturbing that it shattered any remnants of solace. As she mindlessly scrolled through social media, a user stumbled upon a seemingly ordinary photo. It depicted South African influencer and celebrity doctor Nandipha Magudumana shopping at the Sandton complex. The photo was taken by an admiring fan who couldn't resist capturing their favorite influencer in the moment. At first it seemed like nothing out of the ordinary, but as the user gazed deeper into the image, a realization struck them. The man shopping alongside the doctor bore an uncanny resemblance to the notorious Thabo Bester. Despite a change in hairstyle and the use of sunglasses, a childhood friend of Bester's would later say that he was convinced that the man in the photo was indeed that of the Facebook rapist. The photo spread across social media platforms at lightning speed, igniting a firestorm of opinions and debates. Some argued that the man in the photo was undoubtedly Thabo Bester, while others vehemently disagreed. And while opinions were certainly divided, one thing that everyone could agree on was that it was impossible for it to actually be him, as Thabo died in the prison fire in May 2022. But as the debate raged on, cracks in the official story began to surface, and suddenly nothing was certain anymore. The prison mugshot of Thabo Bester showed him towering at 5.6 feet, yet a leaked autopsy report claimed that the body recovered was that of an adult male standing at a mere 4.6 feet. The report also stated that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, with no signs of smoke inhalation, leading to the conclusion that the person was already dead before the fire even started. The story was becoming more and more like a Hollywood thriller, where truth was stranger than fiction. The inconsistencies were eventually too great to ignore, and the public was left with more questions than answers. Had Bester really perished in the fire, or had he managed to escape? How had he broken out of one of South Africa's most secure prisons? And the most haunting question of all, who was the person found burnt beyond recognition in the cell? The public's demand for answers grew stronger, and it wasn't long before prison officials were forced to respond.
The Department of Correctional Services has concluded that the body found in a Mangaung cell is not that of so-called Facebook rapist Thabo Bester. It says Bester escaped from custody in May last year. The department says there will be serious consequences for those found to have been involved in this escape.
Happy birthday, dear Tom. Happy birthday. We hope you're not crying.
So here's here's something interesting. Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandipha have allegedly been arrested. That is but the sideshow. The real story here is how the South African government is looking rather stupid for ever allowing the privatization of prisons when they aren't run any better than the public ones. The South African government spends around 1 billion rand a year on 2 privately run prisons that have about 5,900 inmates, one in Mangaung and one in Makhado, Limpopo. These prisons are managed by a local consortium led by G4S, a British and US multinational security company. The Mangaung Correctional Facility that Thabo Bester escaped from was opened in 2001, and G4S got a 25-year contract to manage and operate the prison. So how does G4S make money from running a prison? According to a report tabled in Parliament last year, the Department of Correctional Facilities has a daily budget allowance of 385 rand per prisoner per day to detain, clothe, and feed them. In 2022, South Africa had an inmate population of 96,000 and a remanded detainee population of 47,000. But at the G4S privately run Mangaung and Makhado prisons, the daily allowance for prisoners is 435 rand and 412 rand. There's also no evidence to suggest that private prisons are any more efficient, innovative, secure, nor do they actually rehabilitate prisoners to a better standard than the public ones. Then why do these private prisons still exist in South Africa? I think it's best that I stop digging.
So, Queen, I mean, welcome back to it, man. Just your thoughts about, this whole story. I mean, South Africa is going to be looking at it for the next couple of weeks. Everybody's going to check. Remember how the Oscar Pistorius case was followed?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Thabo Bester, Utoya Tronkong, is not going to go to court because he's a prisoner. But Dr. Nandipha cannot go court. She still has to be convicted. So, and then her father as well, the brother is coming out to speak out. What do you think is going to happen in the next couple of weeks? Do you think she's got a case to answer?
To be honest, obviously, South Africans are expecting because of all these crimes. But I get then those, like the officials, why bona ba sa expose you? The ones ba mo thusitseng gore motho wa gage a tswe ko tronkong bona ba go kae? Like everybody in jail was involved in this whole.
It's not just one security guard.
So where are the others? Because now I'm expecting accused number 1, accused number 2. Fela yalo, babe ba plan this whole escape thing. And then how sure are we Thabo Bester won't escape again? Because to be honest, most South Africa, for as long as you mali, you can get away with anything. You find prisoners telling hadina next, no visit, no nothing, no like abana next. Bona ba oppressiwa gagolo. And then you find baba nang le ditšhelete and everything. They would have killed 100 people, but they still get the treatment emo. So somehow I feel the equality thing I preacher hey, South Africa is the best constitution. Hey, wow. I exist. So somehow Thabo Bester will go back to prison sharp, and then what? And then what?
He's probably gonna live that same lifestyle like he did.
Obviously, I get about what happens. I mean, remember the Oscar case? I never revampiwa tronko because tamele mo accommodate wara. Like, to be honest, as long as you unebale South Africa, you'll never account for anything. So, Leonard Dr. Nandipha akano swara mamutla, and then akwebiwe. Lena, I believe utopila life different from other inmates. So there's nothing different from the cases that so either way, people with money will always get away with anything.
What's also been interesting is that but by Lungor they were very close to Dr. Nandipha. Pull out. They're all saying negative things like she's now saying if she knew what she knew now, and then there's also Dr. Pasha, who says that this lady stole her identity, was using her identity from moving from one country to the other. And then, so, you know, it's like, they were all friends. Now that there's
That's
a
why
mess.
Everyone will run. Like everyone will run for their life so that ba protect the reputation sabona, ba protect. I mean, Teripet already. Chokoba. Remember the saga ya di SIU re Lotto what, and then go eda ka mo godimo. I mean. So obviously ba tlo zama gore bona ba clean gore bona abana maqala bana nix bona bana le maka if ne ba ka binela motho ko tronkong di happy birthday and then they didn't know, like really, like
I'm gonna post this tweet. Mzwanele Manyi, it was you know Jimmy Manyi, the former Jimmy Manyi. Mzwanele now the spokesperson for Jacob Zuma Foundation.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, he was also at the party Cosentine. So, Bamo Tegile got Twitter, Kantilwena, you were singing happy birthday for Thabo Bester. And then Bazimashilo Ari, yes, he was there. I saw him. He's still around. But now, Mzwanele Manyi then tweets and says, hey, Pella, that fella is a con man. He's... What did he say? He said something in the line, sorry. The guy was so brilliant. So anybody could have fallen for his lies.
To be honest, there was a tweet. I don't know where the lady came out. What she said was, yo, Thabo Bester, cute. Okay? Everybody about attack on Twitter. But I think fella the looks. Not necessarily gore Thabo Bester ke motho o sharp. So I think if bare the bona ba wetse gara mukoti o wa Thabo Bester because maybe na hlalefile. I mean, even when you watch Bo, I think maybe o shebella too much. What's the series? Prison Break.
Oh.
Maybe o shebelletse too much Prison Break and I ipona like atipona in that guy. Schofield. So this Schofield in the like from season 1 so he's the smart one, he's the genius. Everybody puts enough for what's the next move? Maybe Thabo Bester was the same.
Yeah.
So it's just that unfortunately kimo South Africa mo the movie di na le mokosi o montši ka mo gare. So somehow in terms of the celebrities bona they'll do anything to protect their image, but ba gore ba etsa dilo tse di snacks ko masaiting.
Absolutely. Queen, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate your insights. And so just let's leave the Thabo Bester issue for now.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and where can people follow you and what's in store for Queen in the next couple of months?
So people can follow me on social media. So on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, Queen KR _royal, but go Facebook _ it's just Queen KR Royal. And then I just changed my Twitter to Sitlogolo Sabatlokwa because hey, Twitter bang blokile because of a tweet. Okay.
No,
the thing is, now I said, like, now it's just honest. Tweetile and ba reported tweet when remember the Popalazzi saga.
Oh yeah.
So I kept on tweeting about, and there was this tweet ebang blockading yona. I said, hey, na ilo aga kivapi yo ngathi le girlfriend ile yabona maybe bathi angisakufuni mina uzongijola ngenkani angisakufuni ngizokujola ngenkani bavele bayi report Twitter and my Twitter account was permanently suspended. So I opened another Twitter account, and I'll try to behave on because I love Twitter, slightly toxic and stuff, but I just love because go Twitter we can confirm everything. If post this is what happened, we immediately go on Twitter and Twitter it like confirm it's true or false.
You know, I'm just thinking now, as you were saying that thing about you being suspended, and what comes to mind is, in fact, it was an issue around whether there is real freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And I think I found myself in that dog box as well. okay, I wasn't suspended, but a lot of things happened in the background. And it was simply me asking Jorge, do we really have a freedom of speech?
We don't.
And if we do, there is also something called, it's maybe the consequences of your perceived freedom of speech. So you think you've got freedom of speech, but then the consequences say on. And generally, when we say the things we say, we don't think about the consequences that they may bring. Sometimes we don't even think, or it might blow out of proportion. Like, you did not think you were going to be reported, especially for that, after all the other things that you might have said.
The thing is, Nanaki used an example. It wasn't, I mean, I get to be boyfriend. Now I was just using an example. I own lady. Ufana. I mean, wow, ufana. It simply means we are making an example.
Wait, you did it in Kasizul?
No, I just said the Iron Lady. It's more like that boyfriend girlfriend story where the boyfriend says "Angsakfuni" and yena re ngizokujjola ngenkani. It was just an example. Haneke analyzer the story sa popularity when haba the motion of no confidence and then ngizobuyela court. For me, I just felt and keep a positive vote of no confidence. The energy like I felt gone. So now I was literally making an example. So freedom of speech, no, where it's unfair where and kibona no back in the days, remember how our former president, they would tarnish his name, they would say a whole lot of things, draw him kadi genitals high, and people would say freedom of speech, ki art, right? But then no, you say something, you are in trouble. So why babang, it's like freedom of speech apply ko baiting, and then babang it's like when how the black sheep tlamele o suppressiwe, but how the smart one or the above one tlamele freedom of speech is ka apply ko when. So the freedom of speech I yo fair iteng, but if fair for a certain type of people. So yeah,
absolutely. And I think maybe to close off our discussions is that I know a lot of people are going to have opinions about the whole Thabo Bester thing.
Yeah.
People are going to be doing commentary like they were Oscar Pistorius. But now what it does, Kore, at times you might find or people are going to say things along the line, they could get themselves either being suspended from social media or bakaluza the deal or bakaluza spani, or they could get into trouble.
Yeah.
Just from this particular story, I already see people saying some really horrible things, and I know it's a horrible issue, Thabo Bester, Dr. Nandipha, but I think we really have to be careful of what we're saying and how we're saying it. Otherwise, it's not Kenya matate.
Yeah, the saddest part is wabona ibile ka Dr. Nandipha it about worse because as much as re jotse le botsotsi gona le botsotsi and stuff, Thabo Bester was not only a tsotsi, but he was a rapist, he was a murderer, especially with the number rising ya gender-based violence and femicide. So for Dr. Nandipha, it's like maybe ha o rata somebody o bulang batho ba re no my love ang ba bulala ngayaz, and you believe that. So yena ke mutlela ko le sighting leo, and sometimes I think re ska ipona better, especially ko so because we've all been fooled ka lerato, and yeah, the saddest part is yena she's gonna take the fall, especially as a woman or sitting a rapist and a murderer mo dinambeng tse kana tsa gender based violence or I escape. So yena she's gonna take a huge knock and her career it's like inagana bu doctor ne it's like utla ba re bo ma 8 years or so yo ka bona fela 8 years down the line who specializer, like she could have been far, but unfortunately we all have choices, and she chose her side. So will choose the path and unfortunately she'll have to deal and live with the consequences.
All right. There's a video that I want to play for our viewers. This video, it's because, and I know we're going to say goodbye, but this video, it was about how Thabo Bester started his criminal ways as a youngster.
Oh.
So, like, when I saw it, I thought, some criminals, to be that good, it means it's years of actually being a criminal, and you must have started earlier. So this guy started, they go as far as that he started crime as young as he was 4 years old. Another 4 years.
I'm currently writing a book.
Okay.
By It's a Broken But in Charge.
Hold on, let's play the video.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, we'll do that with that clip.
Perfect.
So I want you guys to check this out on the Free Ride podcast. Let's do that. Boom.
Thabo Bester was born into a world of darkness, his existence marked by tragedy and crime. Born on June 13th, somewhere between 1983 and 1986, his mother was only 16 when she was brutally raped by a local storekeeper who offered her a ride home after visiting her sister. He was subsequently raised by his grandparents, and from a very young age he seemed to be destined for a life of crime. When he was only 4 years old, his grandfather found him in possession of a large wand of cash, and after confronting Thabo, he told him that a neighbor had given it to him. His grandfather then took him to the lady's house, and when they got there, she didn't even know that the money was missing. A year later, when Thabo was 5, the owner of a local tavern confronted the family after Thabo admitted to stealing a bottle of coins from the family's home. By the time Thabo was 17 years old, he had already completed his first stint in prison. He was charged and convicted of house burglary and stealing from someone in the community. In 2004, he was released into the care of his mother, but his criminal tendencies continued to flourish. In 2005, just as social media was gaining momentum, Thabo Bester embarked on a new career as a con man. Posing as an international scout, he approached aspiring models online and promised to send them for auditions and arrange brand collaborations, all for a fee to belong to his fake agency. However, it wasn't just money that he took from his victims. He would gain their trust, meet some of them in person, and then rob them of their possessions. His scheme was eventually uncovered in 2009 when he was charged with fraud and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Despite serving only 2 years, he was released on parole in 2011, ready to wreak havoc once again. Shortly after his release in 2011, Thabo doubled down on his deceitful ways, taking his model agency scam to new heights. He continued with his scam of pretending to be an international scout, but now also forged paperwork to secure chartered planes, luxurious hotel rooms, and expensive camera equipment, all while providing fake payment receipts. He'd then fly down aspiring models with promises of success, only to rob them of their possessions and sell the expensive camera equipment he acquired. He was eventually nabbed at the end of 2011, where he was charged for robbing and raping 2 women. Thabo was then released on bond while the investigation continued. That same year, he also met an aspiring model and car saleswoman, Nomfundo Tihulu, who sold him a BMW. He once again posed as an international talent scout and quickly charmed his way into Nomfundo's life. The two became close and eventually dated for a short while, before Bester stabbed her to death at a bed and breakfast in Cape Town. He was arrested in 2012 and found guilty of the murder of Nomfundo Tihulu, as well as the rape and robbery of the 2 women in 2011. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
All right, man. So you've just seen that video, of course, detailing all that Thabo Bester is all about and when he started his whole crime, his path to crime.
Yeah.
So you were telling me before we took a break about the book.
So I'm currently writing a book. You know, I've released 2 books. My autobiography.
I forgot to add that you are an author as well.
Damn, so girl. I released my autobiography, but it was just 200 copies because next eBay all over. I just wanted it for eBay, like just a few people that can get inspiration from the book, and then it was part of my healing process and journey there's gonna be part 2 of my autobiography, but in the next years to come. And then ka release a book falling pregnant for the wrong man, to try and encourage women. I mean, at the end of the day ba re salang le bana, in most cases. So ne ke thipa basadi gore ke banna ba feng ba ileng gore you shouldn't fall pregnant for. So currently I'm writing a book, Babies Are Broken But in Charge. So it's still in the early stages of writing because I'm a busy woman. So I don't find time to full-time focus to more this book. But it's mainly about a guy. He's a narcissist, he's a psychopath, and he's a criminal. So it's more of iginza la sekazi. So I have my fair share of dating iginza, and this person okibuanka in the book, it's more like ki life ya high. It's based on a true story. So but it's a true story from different stories, but kamutu oi one, because I know hore batho ba bang they've been exposed to that. Yeah. Okay. So this guy kept broken but in charge because he was a broken boy from early stages. Started crime at a very young age because of aibone from batho ba bagolo magrotman agola ka yona, broke a lot of people, broke a lot of women to be specific, and then men were just a few of them ba ileng gore ebile di victims type, but most were women. And the saddest part is even after he passed on, basadi ba ileng gore ba breakile, some of them are still broken till this day. Wow. So I'm still, I had a few interviews with the extra high, and so I'm compiling the book now because I had the interviews with these women. And now that I'm done with the research and everything about this guy, I'm writing a book about him. So watch out for that book.
Damn, Queen, you are an extremely busy woman. Listen, I want to thank you and appreciate you for everything that you do. Your heart is in the right place. You care for people, love people. I know as an activist, you stood up for so many families, so many children, kids who were abducted, kids who were raped, like so many horrific stories that you've had to deal with. And I mean, you've dealt with Mapodisa, Korapti, Kosoweto, like your story is just unbelievable, Queen. And you continue to be strong. So you actually fuel a lot of my strength. Like, you don't even know it, but you do. So I'm like, but Queen has gone through so much shit, man. Like, and she still smiles. She's still happy. Yeah. Like, Queen, you're a real queen, man. And I appreciate you for being who you are. And continue to shine. Continue to shine in everything Oweetang. And I know that your new show is going to blow up and it's just going to take you to a next level. And I think your path is just, it's golden. You just have to walk on it and believe it.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm looking forward to bigger things. Being a mom to teenagers. I mean, my firstborns are turning 16 this year, and banking is a pressure engata, especially as a young mom. So from time to time, plazibile seki adopted a new habit of taking them to school, so that
they're almost as tall as you as well.
Yeah, I mean, my twins are almost, Yeah. So from and I'm make sure baba involved in my life, so that babone the journey elong re ke tsamele ko yona, and ba try go ba avoid some of the mistakes that I have done, in my life elong re tswa ko yona. So to be honest, as a woman, you must make sure gore au dumele the situations that do describe it. Make sure that as a young woman, you stand firm in what you believe in, and don't just allow people. I used to be that quiet lady, and people were shocked when I became an activist. When you were this quiet person, but situations made me, and I'm very grateful for everything because I am queen today because of the rapes, the abuse, the sexual harassments, the sexual assaults. And one thing that I stood firm in, I would never allow anyone to was the case I attend currently of a guy that spanked my butt, and I got him arrested for that. So for me I'm now teaching people, you don't just do things and then get away with them. So make sure that if something o feel uncomfortable, make sure you take a stand in it so that you become free from stress, you become free in your own space, and you walk tall in everything. So as be it a woman, be it a man, just make sure you live your life to the fullest, because life is way too short based on what society describes you. So now I'm a mother, I've been criticized a lot, I've been bashed a lot, but today I can stand and walk in my red carpet and this is me and I'm doing me, because one objective is the day I die, my obituary must be 10 pages.
Wow, man, Queen. Wow, man. And I'm so glad to have been part of your walk, your journey, and to see you grow from strength to strength. And I wish you all the best, man. And I'm so proud of you, man. Damn. All right, man. That was Queen KR. Follow her on the social media platforms, and she's my friend. And of course, we are former colleagues, and we still do the hustle together. And I appreciate her, man, for all the things that she's done, supporting me and helping me in everything that I was doing. And I wish you all the best. And thank you so much for watching the Free Ride Podcast. We out, man. We out. Boom.